All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone is doing great. I'm doing great. One in the chat, as always. You know how my lives go. They're very unpredictable. So, one in the chat, if you guys can hear me, please. Really appreciate it. If you're able to confirm that you can hear the stride. Road trip, welcome. Joshim Strin. All right. You can Zoom wheels. All right. You guys can hear me. Awesome. Appreciate that. Let me turn this thing off. My goodness. My lives again. Always acting funny. But guys, I just want to thank you for coming in. The last time I was running a live and this phone kept vibrating. I'm like, holy smokes, really? I can't edit it out. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you guys for confirming this. Let's try to make this live nice and smooth. And if not smooth, let's try to deal with it. All right. I was actually going to say, let's try to make this live short, but I realized I can't really control that sometimes. So let me see. We got Tommy Thumbs. I've never seen Tommy Thumbs before. Unless you change your name, the suspense is killing me. LOL. All right. Well, the suspense is actually killing me too, but not for my live. I know what to expect in my live. The suspense is killing me for this Inmotion. All right. Are they selling us a hype wheel? I don't know. Let's see. Let's find out. We're gonna try to determine this based on your comments, our experience as a collective, and just see what's going on because it's happened before, right? So we don't want to put complete trust in any company really, because as I've always said, the one thing I've always hated about EUCs in general is not really the EUCs, is the fact that I cannot return them. So I purchase a wheel and I'm very flabbergasted about it. Something happens and I can't return it. In many cases, you either get a replacement board, a replacement motor, which takes time and waiting, et cetera, And I could understand if all these things were, in the very early stages of the EUC development, but it's been many years now and it's still happening. So something is wrong. So let's see. Suspense is killing Mr. Thummy. Mr. Tommy. I said Thummy. Road trip. How are you doing, sir? Hello, Tommy. We meet again. Awesome. You know each other. That's good. Who is this one? Joshem Sterine. Hi, all. How is everybody doing? And Zoom Wheels. He says, can it really do 60 miles per hour? We'll have to find out. We'll have to find out. I'm not a fan of theoretical stuff. I like salivating over theory. But I really enjoy taking the theory and putting it to the test, taking that nail and hammering it down, on some piece of wood or whatever. But anyway, let's see. Tommy says capped at 55 from what I hear. That is correct. Which, if it's anything from the past that we've seen with the V12, it's probably going to be like less than that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like 53 or something like that. But hey, we'll see. EUC Serbia, what's going on, EUC Serbia? Always keeping up to date with your videos, your short clips on these new wheels as they come out. Definitely check out EUC Serbia, guys. You don't waste a lot of time on his site, on his channel. You go to the channel, and that's it. You see updates of these wheels constantly. So that's usually where I go to find my updates. So if I'm missing something and it's not an EUC Serbia, I missed it. Road trip throws. Okay. Let's see. All right. So someone is saying EV standoff. What you riding? Good question. What are you guys riding? So I posted a poll earlier. Let me see if I can view the poll here. I posted a poll earlier. And if you guys don't mind taking some time to actually review the poll, that'd be fantastic. Let me see. This thing is taking a little while to load. I thought I had it loaded already, but apparently not. Hold on for a second. I'll be right back. All right, sorry guys. I just had to set something up. I set it up earlier, but it didn't go as planned. So I set up a poll, and I just want to share this poll with you guys. Obviously, you can probably see it. I don't know, but let me share this poll with you guys. If it loads, that is. Goodness gracious. Me and lives, man. Me and lives. All right, so here's the poll. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, can you guys see the poll in the chat? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Hold on, guys. Oh, there we go. I went to make it big enough so you guys can see. There we go. That's big enough. So it's a simple question. And if you haven't already, oh, wow, there's 10% that actually said, I don't care. These are the hardcore people. These are people like, I don't care. I want that wheel. If you haven't already participated in the poll, go ahead and let your voice be heard there. But the question is very simple. Is Inmotion selling us hype with the Challenger? And the reason I asked that question is because I remember we came from, I believe there were two wheels that were hype wheels. And that was the Abrams. Abrams, not so much, but it was still a hype wheel. Then we had the KS20. And the KS20 was indeed a hype wheel. Now, if we want to learn where things are going, right? That's with anything. We look back in the past to determine what was done back then and how it was handled, and what was the result of that thing in the past to determine the future. So right now we're looking at a new hype, which I'm not going to say it's a hype per se, because I could say it's a hype because they call it the Challenger, and who are they challenging, right? So the word Challenger to me, and let me know what it means to you, but to me, Challenger means they're challenging the status quo. They're challenging everybody. They're challenging kingsong. They're challenging Extreme Bull. They're challenging leaperkim. They're challenging the goat, you know, and to call and to come from I'm sorry, I'm too excited here. And for a company who's never had this level of performance before to suddenly build a wheel that is completely crazy in terms of everything, right? Build quality, performance, etc. Call it what you want, and then call the name on top of that, the Challenger. That says a lot. That says that they're extremely confident, not only about their wheel, but about their approach to delivering that wheel to us. So when I hear something like that from a company that's never even attempted this before, it makes me wonder. You know what I'm saying? Makes me wonder, because that's what happened. That's exactly what happened with the KS20. They had promised a lot of things. You know, the BMS, the smart BMS, the powerful motor. The one thing that they hands down did and executed perfectly, that I haven't heard much complaints with that, is the suspension. And that was their claim to fame. And up till this moment, the suspension is still the very best in the field. And if you disagree, let me know. But they messed up. You know what I'm saying? We took it for a ride. A lot of people beat it up, and the thing exploded. Now, why did it explode? I still don't know. I could make my assumptions based on how I rode. But a lot of people were saying that, you know, because the battery might have been on full, and then that braking caused it to spike and blah, 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 blah. But what did they say, though? They had smart BMS. They had safety mechanisms in place to help prevent that from happening. Did it happen? Yes. Should it have happened? No, because of the hype. You see what I'm saying? So one issue led to another. Then we had issues with their motor. There was problems with their motor where it was making some grinding sound, where in fact they released videos on you know, pretty much showing you how to fix this issue of, you know, the grinding sound. You literally, imagine you being a new person. Imagine you being someone brand new to EUCs, and a serious manufacturer of EUCs is telling you, listen, this is your first time buying this wheel. In order to fix that issue with your motor grinding, you have to open up the motor, clean the insides. I mean, come on, dude. Really? No. I'm sorry. No. But fortunately for us, well, not fortunately, because it was still expensive. I was going to say it was like marginally expensive, but it was still expensive. Now, I want to push ahead here. What happened after the hype? After the hype, what we noticed was the interest in that wheel went down. And look, guys, listen. I'm not your typical YouTuber who, that talks about EUCs. I'm not someone that tries to hype you up and say, hey, buy this wheel, click my link. And I want you to click my link. I do. But I will always say, when I first started EUCs, when I first, and a lot of you are probably new, but when I first started like in the EUC world, I did a ton of research before I could purchase my very first EUC, a ton of research. And when I purchased my very first EUC, I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, wow, I could have chosen something more expensive. You know what I'm saying? Like the V5F. I purchased the V5 and, it was 13 miles an hour. I got used to it extremely quickly. And then I was like, man, I should have gotten the V5F. But the point was, after the V5F, I got the Tesla. Now, when I got the Tesla, I did a ton of research before I got that thing. Because at the end of the day, I could not return it. You see what I'm saying? So that is why I'm so critical on these companies. This is why I'm so harsh with my reviews, with my opinions, etc. I'm extremely harsh because of that. And when you as a newbie comes in with all that cash and you pay all that cash and you're excited and it comes to your doorstep and blah damn, nothing works or something works, and then 2 weeks down the line, you get a cutout or a board failure or a motor failure, you don't know what to do. Half the time you're on Facebook, hey guys, anyone can help me? And come on, dude, come on. So this is why I am the way I am, and I'm not going to change until we can start returning these things for a refund or replacement or something like that. If that can happen, maybe I'll let off the gas a little bit. But until that time, full steam ahead. And I think there's no harm in that. Now, the sale of EUCs have gotten to the point where it really doesn't matter anymore what we say, because there was a time back then when distributors used to give wheels to certain YouTubers and they would test it. For example, Marty, all these guys, they would, go through the test, phases before it gets out to the public. But nowadays, you have a bunch of places. You have Alien Rides, you have Rev Rides, you have EVs. The list goes on, right? So we don't really have that method of selling wheels anymore, where we go through the steps of testing them and then we find the failures and then we return them. Nope, you can literally just go ahead and buy your wheel on the first release, first batch purchase. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure if that's a good thing for the market. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing. It might be a good thing because, look, people are going to buy regardless. I personally don't think it's a good thing. I think, it should be like any other product. It goes through a phase of testing. And if it fails, well, in many cases, cars, for example, they have recalls and stuff like that. So, but dude, I don't know of any recalls. Do you guys know of any recalls on EUCs? I don't. So you get my point. You get where I'm heading with this. So until this starts happening in the EUC world, forget about it. I'm going to go as hard as I can. Now, to reference your responses here, I'm going to end the poll in a little bit. So if you want to make a change to this poll, go ahead and click away. But is Inmotion selling us hype with the Challenger? And look what you guys said. 28% of you said yes. 25% of you said no. And 39% said maybe. And I don't care says 8%. So if I'm looking at this poll, it tells me that there's a lot of doubt. Okay. And again, this is not me. This is you guys. Yes, there's not a lot of you, but you're a small segment of the large majority, right? So 39% maybe pretty much tells me that there's some doubt out there that Inmotion could be selling us some hype. And why is that? Why do you think that is? Well, I prepared a little intro, so let me go ahead and read this thing. But the reason I think this is the case is because of the V12. Okay, that's why I think it's because of the case. So, okay, so let me go back so today is about your comments. So I'm going to end the poll. So 28% said yes, 25% said no, It's changing a little bit, but it's still the same. There's still a lot of doubt out there. Okay, I don't care. It jumped to 11%. It's still doubt. It's still doubtful. It's still doubtful. I'm sorry, guys. I know you're trying to change that at the last minute, but it's still doubtful. 37%. So poll ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. There you go. So there's doubt. There is a little bit of concern that indeed there may be Inmotion might be selling us a hype. Okay, so let's go to your comments. Where is that thing? Let me minimize this. There we go. So let me start the intro that I prepared for you guys. So we've gotten to the point in EUC world where the barrier for entry hasn't really changed much. And that's a good thing because you can still purchase a wheel for around $600 to $2,500. So although these wheels aren't getting a lot of shine, doesn't mean they're not being sold. So keep that in mind if you're a first-time buyer. Don't ignore this obvious option, the fact that you can go out there and still purchase wheels that are entry level, okay? You don't have to follow the crowd. So after you've moved on from a starter wheel, you now feel the urge to purchase a more expensive performance wheel. But buying anything above $2,000 is a huge commitment, and you're new, so you're not really sure about this. But a lot of people are making hype about more expensive wheels. Which one should you purchase? Should you purchase the first batch, et cetera, et cetera. So all these questions are going through your mind. So what I'll say is, so if you end up going with a more expensive wheel, what are the benefits of getting a wheel that's more expensive? Okay, this is going to lead into the V13 because a lot of new riders are going to purchase this. I saw it in the comments. In general, it's a good idea to get a more expensive wheel because you can grow with it and you don't have to shell out a lot of money once you've gotten used to the current entry-level wheel. You know, back then, purchasing a more expensive wheel as a first wheel made sense because the market wasn't that developed yet. Places like Facebook, Marketplace, eBay, etc., were not filled with options to purchase used wheels. Now you can pretty much find almost whatever you're looking for on these sites. So purchasing an entry-level wheel right now might not be a bad idea because resale of these wheels is pretty good. But in the last few years, we've had EUC companies releasing first batch wheels with all sorts of unforeseen issues, with much disappointment, and yes, they're very expensive. Truth is, if you're someone who takes care of your wheel, doesn't really push it beyond its limit, I would say you probably won't experience issues, but there have been cases where basic riding results in cutouts, board failures, motor failures like the V11, and the list is long. But typically, my advice is to stay away from first batch wheels unless you have the money and you can risk it. Now, there is just too much room for error with first batch wheels, especially when it's a new type that the company has never attempted before and not much testing was done. Again, a good example of this is the Abrams and the KS20, as well as the V12 with their cutouts. Now, if you own a V12 and you've never experienced a V12 cutout, then you probably can't relate. But for those who have experienced it, that can make a huge difference in how they see the world of EUCs in general, especially if it's their first wheel. Okay, so we don't want that happening, but we can't really control that. It is sad, though, that after so many years of releasing different wheels, cutouts, fires, board failures, they still seem to plague us. While a lot of these cutouts is due to rider error, a good amount is not. So this brings us to the V13 Challenger, another wheel that looks freaking amazing, full of hype, in theory is good on paper, but at the moment lacks the rigorous type of testing. I personally feel lacks the rigorous type of testing that I would expect from such a very, very crazy expensive wheel. But there is hope. There is hope because we know it's Inmotion. Inmotion has some things up its sleeve that I haven't yet seen other companies employ towards safety. But let's first discuss your comments, okay? So there's hope, guys. Again, I'm not making a claim. This is a question, okay? Is Inmotion selling us hype with the Challenger? It's just a question, okay? So yeah, let me look at what you guys are saying, and then we'll get into it. If you're saying anything at all, that is. Let's see. EUC Marcialago says the battery they are using indicates hype. The battery, right? Because are you referring to the 18650? Because I believe they're using the 18650. Now that's kind of plus and minus. The 18650 is a much smaller in dimension size. It's not as thick. So that pretty much allows them to create a very thin profile looking wheel. And on top of that, the 18650, in my experience, is battle tested. You know, that's a term that one guy used, and I'm just reusing it. But it's been battle tested. That's actually not a bad battery. My old 84 MSX has the 18650, I believe, and I think Begode started using the 21700s when they released the MSP. But you know, I have seen a difference between the 18650 in the sense that I get less sag, I get a lot more range. Maybe it's due to the 84 volt. I don't know, 84 volt versus 100 volt. I'm not sure. It could be, but I never had any major issues with the 18650. So if that's what you're referring to, I could possibly see what you mean, but I could also possibly see why Inmotion would go with the 18650s, mainly because of the dimensions, because it's a very tall wheel. It would suck to have a very tall wheel and a very thick wheel. It has a very good thin profile that I like a lot. So good point there. Zoom Brian says, shame the V13 hasn't got more battery. It's a shame. Agreed. It is a shame. And this is why I'm trying to create this live to, you know, respond to your comments, because a lot of people most people loved the V13 and didn't like the video I created. When I say didn't like, I mean, didn't agree with it. And I could understand that, because you really want to believe as a buyer that there's an EUC manufacturer out there who's thinking of us, who's not just us, it's just thinking in general of proper practices. You know what I'm saying? Look, Kingsong did, I feel, do a good job of trying their best. But then again, they didn't have any heat wrap or shrink wrap for the batteries. What nonsense is that? I'm sorry, but that's a huge failure right there. I mean, the thing is possibly going to fall in water, and if it's an off-roader, at some point you're going to encounter rain. So it's very interesting that they did not have it shrink wrap. I'm not sure if the S20 I'm not sure if the newer ones are shrink wrap or heat wrapped, shrink wrap, or whatever, but it's not. It was very disappointing to see that. That's like a no-brainer, dude. You'd never expose any type of electronics to the possibility of moisture, water, ingress, or anything like that. And they did. They completely ignored that. So that's odd to me. Yeah, so Brian, yes, it's very interesting. Another reason I'll say it's very disappointing, Brian, is the fact that it's a massive wheel, right? So it's a huge wheel. Not only are you going to deal with like the weight of the wheel, but you're also going to deal with this massive motor that's 4,500 watts. It's a 10,000 peak output, but if you have a small battery and you have a massive motor, like this is credit to Sensei Vegan because he brought this up and it made a ton of sense. But he mentioned that, you know, it doesn't make sense to have a massive motor with a not so adequate battery. Now, 3,000 watt hours is not bad. 3,024 watt hours is not bad. But for 4,500 nominal power watts is kind of iffy. It's kind of iffy because if you compare it to the competitors, you know, the Commander, the Monster Pro, the Sherman, all have 3,600 watt hours for good reason. There's good reason. And here's the funny thing. The Sherman is a much smaller wheel. The Sherman is the only company, or leaperkim, sorry, is the only company, in my opinion, that seems to understood at the time the importance of literally, you know, being able to compartmentalize what's important and deliver it the way they did. So, for example, 3,600 watt hours, crazy range. People need that. But who wants to carry a massive wheel? So Sherman, leaperkim said, No, we're not going to create a massive wheel. We're going to create a very portable wheel, although heavy due to the batteries and motor or whatever and the rails. It still at least will be manageable for the average person who decides to get this wheel, right? And it is. The Sherman is a heavy wheel, but in terms of size, it's highly manageable. It's highly manageable. The V13 is massive. And as you see, I have this picture here, okay? This is why I placed this picture here. I wanted to show you an example of how big this thing is. Okay, someone did mention, you know, hey, I don't agree with you on this video, the last video I created. Check it out, guys, because the rider that they chose is very small. Yeah, but dude, all their riders are small. Every single one of their riders is small. And look, I mean, look at this, the stretch. He's stretching so much just to put his feet on this pedal. Now, part of the reason it's high, obviously, is because of the suspension. All right, you have two on each side. That's a tall wheel, guys. Now, if you're the type that can deal without the suspension, then you have that option. You can remove the suspension, and this thing will probably end up looking like the Sherman, which is awesome. That's a good option to have. Okay, user-friendly option. So that's awesome right there. Another thing I liked about this wheel is the fact that Inmotion didn't go in the direction of either Kingsong or Begode with the lack of a shell. So if you're looking at this here, I mean, wow, they kept the shell. So that kind of tells you something about Inmotion. They know that in order to have something so this is part of the reason I feel Inmotion is not really selling hype. Okay, this is part of the reason I feel Inmotion is not selling hype. This is one reason for me. Man, I wish I had like a note so we can just go. All right, let's see. Let me see if I can create another poll here, and I'll just add to it. Let's see. Oh, did I get rid of it? Where did I put it? Let me see. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Let me see if I can create another poll. Okay, so, and we're gonna do this. What parts of the Inmotion Challenge, or just say Challenger, what parts of the Challenger shows hype? Or shows hype? What parts of the Challenger shows hype or shows the potential for hype? So I'm gonna say, I wonder how many options. Oh shoot, no, it's not. That's not the type of poll that. Oh crap! It doesn't give you like options, or maybe it does. Can I change this? Again. All right, we're gonna say the battery. We're gonna say the motor. We're gonna say the shell design, because they didn't go with what others are doing. And then one more. There are many more options. We're gonna say, so the battery, the motor, shell design, and what else can I put? Suspension, I guess. Oh no. We're gonna say BMS. Yeah, smart BMS. Because we saw what happened with Kingsong. Hold on, my thing is acting up again. I have to connect my headphones because it disconnected. So I posted the poll, so check it out. Hold on. Sound, output, Headphone. All right. I'm going to have to get a new headphone. This thing keeps going on and off. Okay. So check out the poll, guys. Check out the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Where's the poll? There it is. Oh, look at that. All right. So here's the poll. Let's see what you guys are saying. Because Brian brought up a very good point. Brian Zoom Wheels brought up a very good point. It's a shame because, and in case you guys don't know who Brian Zoom Wheels is, he's in, you know what? Yeah, he's in London or UK. He's a Brit, and he's an insanely fast rider. When I first heard about him, I didn't think he was, and then I saw him, and I'm like, oh shoot, this guy's insanely fast. So, and he's a very experienced rider. So when he speaks, you listen, because that's how I am. If someone is more experienced than me, I tend to listen to them because they kind of know what they're talking about. It's uncharacteristic to have a massive motor, okay? A massive motor, a massive wheel, everything massive, everything freaking amazing, and then your battery is subpar to the competition, okay? Who knows? But okay, so that's the hype, right? So that's the hype. But then Inmotion pulled out something I've never seen another company do. Here's what they did. This is the first time I've seen a company release a motor that's so powerful that's able to do a lift speed of 88 miles per hour, right? And sustain that speed. I've never seen that. And how are they able to do that? Well, one possible way they're able to do that is that they're not really telling us the true potential of that motor. And what they were able to do was dial it back, or maybe an engineer could talk on this show, but basically, if you have a motor that's designed for 10 volts, if you have a motor that's designed for 10 volts maximum, right? But you only give it 6 volts, that motor is very efficient. That motor is good. Tell me if I'm wrong, all right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you have a motor that's designed for 10 volts, but you only run that motor at 6 volts or even 5 volts, that motor is going to be a lot more efficient in the long run versus a motor that's designed for 10 volts and you run it at 9 volts or 8 volts. You see what I'm saying? That motor, if you run it at close to its rated watts power output, that motor is going to be a lot less efficient and it's going to burn out over time. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So let's look at your polls here. I said, what parts of the Challenger shows the potential for hype? And very little people said the battery. That's interesting. But it makes sense that you're saying the motor. Yes, the motor is huge. It's a huge motor. And the battery is fine. The battery is actually fine. It's the motor that's giving cause for concern. But what did Inmotion do? Once again, they dialed it back. Okay. Let me see what people are saying. Speed and battery, electronic suspension. Okay. Let me do this right here. Where's Brian? All right, cool. So what Inmotion did was they literally dialed it back. They dialed back the massive 88 miles per hour that people were going crazy over. And why did they do that? They did that because they wanted to demonstrate that they did not give up on their safety. Inmotion is known for safety. This is why I absolutely love them. And this is why I felt that they should have been the leader all along, because of safety. But creating a performance wheel and creating a last mile device that is the V8, the V11, the V5, the V5F, is completely different than creating a performance wheel with those same characteristics of safety. It's a completely different world. And we know that because we saw it in Abrams. What did Abrams do? It was the same thing. It was the exact same approach with the Abrams. The Abrams had a massive motor with a tiny battery. That was unacceptable. And what do you see? Cutouts. Now, I don't know if the reason the cutouts is due to the motor, but guys, they did release a firmware update, and I saw another guy cut out. He's like, dude, I trusted this wheel. I installed the update, and I still cut out. And that was disappointing. That was very disappointing, for the price. And someone else was trying to sell the wheel for around $3,000. And the comments on the Facebook marketplace was, wait, you're still trying to sell this for $3,000? It's worse. It's bad enough that I'm going to cut out, and you're still trying to sell me this for. So I understand this person's frustration. So now the Abrams came and went without a whistle. I wish I had sound effects. You know, it's like pretty much those tumbleweeds that you see roll across a dry desert. That's what happened to the Abrams. Now, after the Abrams, you had the release of the KS20. The KS20, at least people are still buying it because it does look great. There's no competition in terms of the suspension, none at all. But who's buying the KS20 because of power? Who's buying the KS20 because of what they promoted it to be? If you went on the KS20 website, it promoted power, it promoted torque, it promoted the smart BMS and all that stuff. None of that mattered. None of that mattered when the fire came. Now, when I was riding that wheel and I torqued it the way I normally do all of my Gotways, okay, whenever I get a wheel from E-Wheels, because that's where I sometimes get my wheels, it's from E-Wheels. I get my wheels from E-Wheels or used because I don't have money like that. But when I do get them, I always test them with a brake test. Sometimes I do a brake test and sometimes I do an acceleration test. But not acceleration from the get-go, from the start. I try the acceleration at a higher speed. And if the wheel is able to keep going without let up, then I know that's a good wheel, right? And then you hard brake it, and then you don't feel any magnet slipping. And even if the magnet slips, it's not gonna throw you off, then that's a great wheel. Dude, I've done that so many times with full battery. This is the first time I've heard after the KS20 people mentioning that, hey, you should not have a full battery when you're riding your wheel. I've never heard this before. This is the first time I've heard this. Why? Because I guess people were just shocked this happened and they had to come up with an explanation. But this is not true for any other wheel. It's not true for Inmotion with their low wheels. It's not true for Gotway. I've never experienced that with a Gotway. Why is it only with Kingsong? Because Kingsong entered a market that they were completely unaware of. They've never experienced before. And their smart BMS did not help. The smart BMS did not do its job in preventing that fire. Now, the Inmotion V12 was another sad situation. It wasn't a hype wheel, but people were happy about it. So I wouldn't consider the V12 a hype wheel, but people were very happy about it because people were just tired of Gotway. Okay, people were just tired of Gotway. Yes, it's powerful. Yes, it has crazy range, but we're just tired of it because it's like, dude, it's like, yeah, you're a great company. You're creating these great things, but there's so much potential for issues. And I always fight back and say, guys, it's really not Gotway's problem. It's your problem, but it doesn't matter because it's what's perceived, right? It's what's perceived. And so when Inmotion mentioned that they were getting into a 43 or 45 mile per hour wheel, that is the V12, people jumped on board. It's like, whoa, finally, a real company building something good. It's like Inmotion is almost as good as the US. The trust that people have for production of products in the US, Inmotion kind of had that for the V12. But when the V12 finally came out, and then people were experiencing these cutouts, and then the response that Inmotion had was weird. It was very weird. It was like, take your wheel that you just bought for all this money, pick it up and freaking jerk it back and forth. And if it breaks, then hey, you know, good job. You did it right. We'll send you a new board whenever we will. And that's not a way to approach a situation. Now, I understand they're all the way in China and we're all the way in the US, but you have distributors. So, you know, it's like, wow, like I would not have expected that type of response. But in my opinion, the response that Kingsong gave towards their issue with the fire was a lot better approach. Whether they fix it or not is not what I'm focusing on right now. But their approach was a lot better than Inmotion. Inmotion kind of like put that under the rug. I'll give you a new board, just put it on there, and you know, hey, stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? And oh, by the way, we came out with the V13. Forget about the V12. We came with the V13. What? No. That's not right. That's not right. You don't ignore a major issue that is cutouts. Okay, a major issue like that to completely redirect people's attention to a brand new, untested method of building wheels that is performance wheels. in a massive product that is the V13 Challenger with the craziest weight, with the most amazing motor, with an abysmal battery compared to the competition. It just doesn't make sense to me. So this is why I have my doubts. So, wow, I love the poll. I love the response to the poll. It says, what parts of the Challenger shows potential for hype? I have the battery at 17%, motor 63%, shell design 10%, smart BMS 10%. So yeah, a lot of people are responding correctly. It is the motor. I would have expected some people to say the battery too, but it makes sense that you would say the motor. The motor is very powerful, which is why I'm not surprised they dialed it back. They dialed it back because they knew if they released this thing with the optimum performance that they illustrated in the very beginning, there would be a massive chance for cutouts. And then here goes the flame, right? Just like the KS22. Here goes the flame. And it's like, what the frick, dude? Like, can nobody get this right? But I'm not making a claim. I'm just speaking here. The thing is not out yet. So yeah, let's end this poll. And let's see what you guys are saying. Let me bring this down. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see what, you know what? Where was Brian Zoom Mills? I think he was the last one that I looked at. There we go. This person says, looks cool, but so heavy. That is correct. And again, I did not expect Inmotion to go that route. I expected them to at least go the route of like Sherman, you know, fine. You want to release a long range wheel, release a long range wheel, but keep it on the down low, keep it a little bit lower. But then I don't know, maybe the suspension is the reason it's so heavy and tall. EUC Marcialago said should have used the 40T pack. I wonder what pack are they using? I didn't even check that. That's another thing. Like, what is the output of the battery? Is it like lower amperage? Because that would determine a lot. Where is the spec sheet on this? Let's check out the spec sheet for a quick minute here. I want to see what output. Oh, this is probably at the very top. Yeah. I wonder if they demonstrate what battery. 42 MOSFETs is cool, you know. 42 MOSFETs is very cool. 1,000 amps of continuous current is very cool. But I want to see the output here. Where is it? There we go. I'm sorry, not the output, but the type of battery. So let's see. Requirements, display, charger, features, motor, battery. Okay, I can't tell. It's not here. I can't tell. But maybe if I go to UCO, I'll find out. But I'm not going to do that right now. Maybe in another video. But yeah, so let's see what someone else is saying. S22 was a hype wheel till some S22 was a hype wheel till one killed it. Wink, wink. That's right. Never forget that. You know what I mean? That should never have happened. Tommy, Abrams was just a disappointment. I know. I wanted that wheel. I contacted eWheels and I even made a payment plan. By the way, eWheels is very helpful. They will not say no to you. They will figure out a way to help you get your wheel. And I really wanted to get that wheel. I had a down payment, not a down payment. I was going to put a down payment, set up a payment plan, you know, all that stuff, because I really like that wheel. You know, it was just a disappointment. Okay, cruise control. Salute you, Stride. New to the channel. And I had a veteran Sherman for 2 months before it got stolen. You my favorite. Ooh, stolen. I'm so sorry to hear that, man. Holy smokes. Guys, so listen, this is no longer days where people are like, what is that thing? Yes, people still say that, but a lot of people are aware of what this is. Even though they might not get it for themselves, they understand the value behind it. And I've seen some weird posts on Facebook, so pay attention to that. There's some weird posts on Facebook with prices that are weird, right? It's like you have a $4,000 wheel, but you're selling it for like $2,000. What's wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? Like, just be careful, guys. Always ask, you know, fellow EUC riders, you know, is this legit? You know, this doesn't look right. Don't just go and purchase. I always say, ask the person for a video, because there was a guy selling a Sherman. He looked like a DJ and all that stuff. And I said to him, wow, okay, so maybe I can finally get a Sherman. He was selling it for like less than, what was he selling it for? I think it was like $2,300 or even less, way less. And people were like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, let me check it out. Maybe it's a real one. So I went on there and I sent him an email or a chat through Instagram or Messenger, sorry. And I asked him, I said, hey, send me a video. I said, send me a video. No video. I kept bugging him throughout the day. Nothing. Until I called him. I called him and he said, dude, I'm driving. I can't pick up. You're driving. You can't pick up. Are you serious? You don't know how to drive and pick up a phone? So I never heard from him ever again. He was a fake. You know, there are some people out there who are literally preying on the new, okay? The people who have never really dealt with the EUC world. Just because it's on Facebook, just because it's in our community, doesn't mean it's legit, just so you know. So don't lose your stuff. Sorry about that, by the way. Ivo B, wait for the leaperkim suspension wheel. It's like a fully adjustable motorcycle shock. Now, what's interesting is, now here's what's interesting, and I'll get into your comments, guys. This is just warming up the show. I usually try to warm up the show within an hour and a half. But here's the thing, and this is relevant too. It's not like it's irrelevant. It's relevant. So here's the thing, right? The first wheel that was introduced was what? What was the first wheel that got this all going? I think it was the V13. Yeah, it was the Challenger. So the Challenger was the one that really got this going, right, in 2022. And so we're like, whoa, the Challenger, this is crazy. Or was it the Challenger? Was it the Challenger? Which was the wheel that came? It was the Master, sorry. The Master, and then after the Master, I believe it was the V13. So the V13 came out, and then we're like, whoa, this is awesome. And then Gotway or Begode came out with the T4, and we're like, holy smokes. And not only did they come out with the T4, they came out with the Master Pro, 2 wheels all at once. And then the M10, which really doesn't compete, but you get my point. So it's fascinating, good, how competition causes us to kind of make sense with our money, because a lot of people would probably go out and dish out a ton of money for the Inmotion Challenger without thinking or taking a pause once again because of the hype. This is why I said in my thumbnail that hype is a product. Okay, it's a product, and Inmotion selling it. So far, I guess I'll give my answer toward the end. But yes, leaperkim has this adjustable, fully adjustable motorcycle shock. Very interesting. Very interesting. I can't wait to see that. Cruise control. I'm waiting to see about the new Sherman S looks official. Yeah. Again, that's the positive thing about these other companies releasing wheels. You know, what seems to be willy-nilly is because it makes you pause. It makes you take a break, like put your foot on the brake and hold on. There are so many options for someone who would have wasted $5,000 on a Master Pro or $5,000 on a Challenger. The T4 is out. leaperkim is coming out, and other wheels that you probably wouldn't have purchased, you're now thinking about them because you're like, whoa, I don't really want to go that route. It looks great, but let me take a break for a second. Now you have more money because you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Sherman plus suspension equals king. Oh man, Sherman is good. Like, I can't say much bad things about Sherman. I really can't. Maybe one day I'll get one, but in my experience of riding the Sherman, it was a very solid wheel. I just didn't like the acceleration because, you know, but then again, the reason it was kind of slow off the line for me is because it was my first time riding it. Give me a couple of weeks with that thing, maybe a month, and I'm sure I could push it a little bit harder. The Sherman is a solid wheel. Solid wheel. I have nothing bad to say about it, to be honest. It's, in my opinion, it's the true competitor to Begode. It's just I wish they had built one that had higher pedals, and I think the Max has higher pedals. I'm not sure, but yeah, the thing does not overheat. I went to New York and I went with my XN, but I actually rode my MSP high speed, and a lot of guys there had the Sherman. And I asked them, I didn't want to make an assumption. I asked them, hey guys, why do you all have the Sherman? And a lot of them said it's because, remember that? Because I was complaining about how my EXN kept overheating. And they're like, this thing does not overheat. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like that's a true vote of confidence when you compare it to Begode wheels, because they definitely do overheat. Okay, Tommy Thumbs says, It may not have all the safety that Inmotion has or the range Master Pro has, but it lands in the middle. Oh, you mean the Sherman? Yeah. No, the Sherman looks freaking great. Like, I'm actually very impressed. It's a 3D rendering, but I can't wait to see what the real thing looks like. Pug Life 99. Inmotion was definitely selling us hype with the free. Thank you. Thank you. So you see, oh man. Yes, this is probably why people selected motor. That's a very good comment right there. That was hype. That was freaking hype right there. In case you were curious, is Inmotion selling hype? That was hype. They demonstrated a motor that was able to do 88 miles an hour and sustained 88 miles an hour. We were salivating, going crazy, like, oh my gosh, like no one could talk to us. Inmotion did it. Only to find out later this was reduced and capped at 55 miles an hour. Why? Oh gosh, this thing. Let me reset it again. I have to get a new headphone. There we go. So yeah, why? Why would they do that? Why would they cap it? It already can sustain 88 miles an hour. Why then is there a need to further cap what is sustained at 88 miles an hour? Battery. That's the reason. The battery and that motor is just too big. If they in fact kept that 88 miles an hour, okay, as a production model, that battery would be drained in no time. And they know that's why. But credit to them for doing that, because at least they did that. And but why hype us? Why hype us about 88 miles an hour? Now you're leaving it up to me to assume why you hyped us. Because my assumption for the hype was that they were trying to demonstrate that because we have a wheel that's capable of having a lift speed of 88 miles an hour and sustained and being capped to 55 miles an hour, it means that we're the first company, literally the first company to have a wheel that has such a huge buffer, because we're always concerned about the buffer, right? With Gotway, there's not much buffer. With Inmotion, Kingsong, there's not much buffer with the other wheels. But this particular wheel has such a huge buffer that it gives you the assumption that if you reach that 55 miles an hour, that you should be able to just ride it through. Ride it through. You won't go any faster, and you know Inmotion is going to incorporate their tilt back. So once they incorporate their tilt back, plus that buffer, plus that ability to sustain a speed, okay, that gives you the impression that finally a company exists that does not just cut out because you reached the limit, because you didn't reach the limit. The limit is 20, 30 miles per hour more. You see what I'm saying? So that's a potentially good thing. So that would be a reason for me to say it's not hype. That would be a reason if I were to look into it deeply. But on the surface, they didn't say that. That's not what they said. They never said that. They never gave this explanation. So, or anything near that explanation. They said at any speed. That's what they said, at any speed. So when you see 88 miles an hour and then they say at any speed, you're imagining, shoot, holy smokes, this is going to be good. So, and it ends up, so that was the first letdown. The first letdown was that. And then the next letdown was the battery. So 2 letdowns. And the wheel has not even been released yet. So now I'm tottering, like, I don't know what to think yet. So very good point there, Mr. Pug Life. Very good point. Road trip. Gotta load laundry bread back. That's all right, man. Do your thing. Let's see. There we go. 88 miles per hour, free spin, but throttle to 55. I know. It's weird. It's weird that they did that. I would prefer that they would not have shown us that video. I would prefer that they showed us the 55 miles an hour, and then in their explanation, when they did the final video to explain what we were watching, then they could explain, by the way, this thing can do 88 miles an hour, but we decided to cap it at 55 due to needing a massive buffer. I could understand if they had approached it like that, but that's not how they approached it. They lied to us. They tricked us. They bait and switch us, and I don't like that. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? M103, MCM5, Tesla, MSX are still great, or the 2700 watt hour Nikola. That's correct. These are great, fantastic wheels. Again, guys, no need to jump on the hype. No need at all. There are still fantastic available wheels out there. EUC Lucifer says, oddly, Inmotion first batch is usually fine because they want lots of positive buzz and reviews. Then later batches, they cheap out with crap components. At least that's my theory anyway. That's a good theory to have. Yeah, that's a very good theory to have. Thinking of getting 2 wheels, EXN, Sherman suspension, second batch will be my first wheels. First wheels, so you don't have wheels. Wow. Yeah, man, do a lot of research. Your back road trip, awesome. Hope your laundry is going great. Do your research, man. Do your research. The price turned me away from what it offers, not worth 45. It's not. To me, it's not. You see, Inmotion does not shy away with prices. I've said this before. If they feel a wheel took too much to do research on, I mean, look at the quality. The quality of this build is bar none. You know, I wouldn't say bar none. Sherman comes close, okay, to the quality of this. The leaperkim Sherman is really good quality. In fact, probably better quality than this in terms of crash durability and stuff like that. But this wheel looks freaking amazing. It looks great. And I've always said, sure, Inmotion does not shy away from price. If they think it's worth $10,000, that's what they're going to put up there, and they'll wait for us to complain about it and then bring it down. But I already knew this was going to be a very expensive wheel. By the time this thing is done and you buy your pads and you buy whatever you have to buy, it's probably going to be like a $5,500 wheel. Think about that, a $5,500 wheel. That's insane. But hey, someone's going to get it. So many people are going to get it. But I don't see how this is going to be a true competitor to something like, you know, the Master Pro or even the Sherman, which is an older wheel. Besides the suspension, I don't really see how a 3,000 watt hour battery is going to be sufficient for a 4,500 watt motor. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, we'll wait and see. I have to be as critical as I am right now, and I implore you to be as critical as well. Just because you're critical doesn't mean you don't go purchase the wheel. Just because you're critical doesn't mean you're being negative. It means you're being a realist. I'm a realist, dude. Like, I've passed the point of companies, you know, showing me the fancy bells and whistles. I'm past that point. What I want to see is a company that builds something that is reliable, durable, has a ton of performance. That's just me. Some of you guys are looking for something completely different, and that's price worthy. You know. How much are these things to make, really? I mean, how much is it? Like, is it really worth $5,000? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being bitter. Devo, I'm waiting for the new Sherman S3600. 3600, man, that's the way to go. 40 kilogram and faster than the other Shermans with more torque. This is the wheel for me. Yes, man, that's awesome. I think this person agrees with you, or maybe agrees with me. I don't know. Joshem Strain says, how about the V12 Mobo with clear cover? These Mobos don't have random cutouts, right? Mobos. I've never heard of it. Bunny Slippers, V13 should have high discharge battery. See, I have to look into that. I don't know what batteries they have. I really don't. But yes, for such a massive wheel, you should absolutely be able to pull a lot of current. They did say 1,000 watts continuous current, but I don't know, man. I don't know. These specs sometimes are very, they're very gray. You know what I mean? Big wheels are horrible. Not necessarily. If you've never ridden, I've ridden the Monster Pro. That's a fantastic wheel. So not all big wheels are terrible. Some big wheels are designed per their weight. You know what I mean? This one is trying to fit into a category or squeeze itself into a category that it's just not designed for. You know, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. The battery is just what gets me, man. If they had put like 3,400, that would have been okay. But 3,000, that's too little. It's probably not even a real, probably not even a true 3,000. Can someone do the calculations? It's probably not even a true 3,024 watt hour battery. You think the Sherman is a big wheel? No, I don't think the Sherman is a big wheel. I think the Sherman is a heavy wheel because remember, I'm comparing it to older wheels. Okay, I still have my MSP, torque and speed, and I recently got the EXN. So at the time, the Sherman 77 pounds was pretty heavy for me. But once I got out there and went on and sat on it and rode that thing, I never really thought much about the weight. So maybe in retrospect, to me, it's not a heavy wheel, but it's definitely not a big wheel. The Sherman is not a big wheel, relatively speaking. For a new person, maybe, but for someone experienced as myself, I wouldn't consider it a big wheel. Sherman is perfect, okay? And for a 36, Sherman is like the Commander. It's the same thing. It's just the Commander is not as beautiful, not as functional in terms of all its, modularity, features, and stuff like that. If you're gonna get a Commander, just get a Sherman because the Sherman has everything you need, like everything. So I don't see much difference. I really don't. I was also interested in the Commander at one point, but I'm like, wait a minute, it's the same build, just better and original, whereas the Commander is a copy. But power to whomever gets the Commander. Electronic suspension, yeah, strange. I don't like anything that has that. I don't like any mechanical stuff that's electronic. We already have the motor that's electronic, and we're already having issues. A lot of people having issues with the hall sensors and stuff like that. I would not like to introduce something new that's electronic in a suspension in a EUC. You know what I'm saying? So, Unitron Electric Unicycles Philippines says, I won't be surprised if Abrams is quicker and faster than the V13. That would be interesting. Wow. Good one. That's a good one. I would love to see that comparison because they're both inadequate wheels. Okay. They're both looking great. They're both great looking wheels, but inadequate. Now, here's another thing. I'm jumping ahead because what I'm going to tell you right now is actually in a video I'm putting together right now. But if you look, Inmotion learned from everybody. They learned from Kingsong, Gotway, their mistakes. They learned from leaperkim. If you look, right, the thing looks, it's like there's a saying, don't reinvent the wheel, okay? It has rails back and front. The leaperkim Sherman has rails back and front. It has a shell, a very strong shell. The leaperkim has a strong shell. Leaperkim has the Abrams with the battery integrated into the shell. This has batteries integrated into the shell as well. Although I think it's better IPX, better waterproofing than the Abrams. But that's very interesting. It's as if Inmotion took the blueprint of the Abrams, now that you mentioned that, Unitron. It's as if they took the blueprint of the Abrams and tried or attempted to best the Abrams in all the areas the Abrams failed. So, for example, the Abrams had a motherboard, and this was the first of its time, of its design. The Abrams had a motherboard that was cocooned in a metal box, and that metal box was isolated from all other parts of the wheel. And not only that, that metal box acted as a beautiful heatsink to pretty much dissipate as much heat as possible, as quick as possible, and as efficiently as possible. This one has a Raptor board. Now, the Raptor board is not cocooned in a shell, in a metal shell, I understand. But if you look, it's also isolated from everything else. It's covered properly. It's IPX rated, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You just take two connectors, ploop, connect that thing, and that's it. It's isolated. It's easy to move around. Compared to Gotway, this is like beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to move so many wires from the goat in order to get something done. This, you just boop, boop. Very simple, neat. You know what I mean? High level of productivity of design here, high level of execution. A lot of what they did came from Abrams or leaperkim. Yes, it's obvious. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you can copy something that existed before, cuts down on these research and design, cuts down on mistakes, and then you could just improvise on what was done badly over there and implement it on your wheel, and hopefully you do it better here. So mudguard, same as the Abrams. This is the Abrams Plus. I'm looking at this as the Abrams Plus. Credit to me, guys. Well, no, credit to Unitron. Abrams Plus. This is the Abrams Plus, guys. Wow, because the only thing the Abrams did not have was obviously the build quality. But because remember, they were complaining about how cheap the plastic was and everything like that. But again, once this gets into the hands of reviewers, I have no doubt that Inmotion is going to deliver in terms of build quality. But I'm worried about the performance. And then this has suspension. The Abrams didn't have suspension. The Abrams had a LCD screen on the top. I mean, it's Abrams Plus. Wow. Good one, Inmotion. Good one. Good one, Unitron. Very good catch. Speed and battery. Okay, Raptor controller. Yes, the Raptor controller is a pretty good controller on paper, in theory. Let's see. EUC Lucifer, what good is the high-ass lift speed and speed if it's capped? Right, exactly. Like I said, the only reason I could see them doing that is to demonstrate that they have a good enough buffer so that we won't have to worry about cutting out at the limit. But why even show us the limit if you're not, you know what I'm saying? Why even do that? Just show us the 55 miles an hour and later down the road explain why you have an awesome motor that is able to do 88 miles an hour. Sure, safety range is one excuse, but don't hype speed if it's no faster than competitors. Exactly. Well said. Bunny Sleepers, 88 miles per hour, but maybe not connected to a battery. Right. So exactly. That's another question. Someone brought that up the last time and I forgot about it. Okay. So what's interesting is it's 88 miles per hour in the video, but what was it connected to? They didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us that this thing was connected to the 3024 watt hour battery. That was conveniently left out. Yeah, that was left out. Because if we looked, it was dark. We saw the LCD screen. We saw the speed went up. No other data. So we don't know what the source power was. The source power could have been a 4,500 watt hour battery. It could have been like connected to the wall. We don't know. We have no clue what this thing was connected to. So it demonstrated the potential of the motor, but we had no clue what the source power was. See, now you see why my question is valid. Is this hype? Is this hype? And based on all the testing we've seen so far, Bunny Slipper says, with any wheel, you should not descend a big hill with full battery. If Sean rode the S20 to location in NYC, the S20 wasn't at 100%. That's the thing. It wasn't at 100%. It was at 100%. Actually, no, it was at 100% because when I opened the app, it was at 100%. But like I said, I've tested many other wheels at 100%, braking, doing all that stuff, downhill. Dude, nothing happens. Nothing happens because there's supposed to be safeguards for these things. Imagine if that was the case. A lot of wheels then that are catching on fire, maybe that's why they're catching on fire. You know what I'm saying? Don't blame the company. Blame the rider. I don't know, guys. If I had all these wheels, I would be testing them to death. You know what I mean? Master Pro. Oh man, I would love the Master Pro. Absolutely. Bunny Slippers, V13 Pro with bigger high discharge battery. Everyone is mentioning that. That is correct. I love Brian Zoomill's Sherman seat. Brian Zoomill, shout out to you. Someone loves your seat. Brian Zoomills. Apparently there's no seat yet. So it's the same design. Now imagine adding Brian Zoomill's seat on this. It's going to be even a much... You're going to need a ladder to climb this thing. But just remove the suspension and it'll be a Sherman. And then you'll just have to get a Sherman. Unless you love Inmotion. There's nothing wrong with that. Look, guys, I'm not saying Inmotion is terrible for releasing this thing. I love what Inmotion... Did I say Sherman? Inmotion. I love what Inmotion has done. I absolutely love what... Let me see what you guys think. I love polls. I'm starting to like polls. Where's the poll? Oh, this is just the comments. I already asked that question, so I'm not going to post it again. Sensei Vegan says, hello, Sensei Vegan. How art thou? Sensei Vegan says the high lift speed is for safety. Inmotion was smart to tune down the motor so it would lower the risk of cutouts. Correct. And that is the only assumption. That's the only way I could look at it. The question people were asking was why even show 88 miles an hour? You see what I'm saying? Why even show it? They should have shown the 55 miles an hour. And if they had shown the 88 miles an hour, explain somewhere in that video that is not, under load. That is, remember we're questioning, is this load? Is this no load? Because look, we all know that when we see a lift speed, especially for Begode, you just subtract a few miles per hour, 10 miles per hour from it, and that would be the speed. So a lot of people were making the assumptions that, okay, 88 miles an hour, maybe it's a 70 mile per hour wheel, because that was our train of thought, because that's what we've experienced. Inmotion is new to this. So they can't just come out of nowhere and start expecting us to think a completely different way of how we've always thought of lift speed. You see what I'm saying? They've completely changed or attempted to change the paradigm of how we think about lift speed. And I don't think that's fair. They should have just released 55 miles an hour top speed with the potential of 88 miles per hour, but we've capped it at 55 miles an hour so that there's enough buffer. That would be acceptable. But you don't just release 88 miles per hour lift speed, allowing people to assume that this is a crazy fast 70 mile per hour wheel, and then cap it and expect me to be like, wow, we're going to start thinking, okay, hype, cap, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know, but good point though. Cruise control, will leaperkim use same concept as far as battery? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't really know much about leaperkim. Salute Sensei, you and Ustride taught me a lot on EUC's fam. Yeah, I'm sure we all did, man. And keep learning, man. Never stop learning. V13 will have lots of competition with the Begode Master P. V13 will have lots of competition with the Begode Master Pro. No, there will be no competition. There will be zero competition. And the lower likely price Sherman, as there will be no competition. That's what I'm trying to say. The V13, the only area I could see. Where is this? All right, come back here. Let's create a nice, beautiful poll. Okay, let's see what people say. Is the Challenger, or will the Challenger be a good competitor to the Master Pro? Yes, no. Simple question. Go ahead, guys. What do you guys think? Will the Challenger be a good competitor to the Master Pro? Oh, did I not post it? Oh, I don't think I posted it. Must contain between 1 and 35 characters. Wait, can I not create a poll? It's interesting. Who cares? I think I'm done. I think it won't allow me to post polls anymore. Let me see. Oh my gosh, here goes my thing again. No poll. No more poll. Let me see. Will the Challenger be a good competitor? You know what? Not a good. I'd say good. Good competitor. Competitor to the Master Pro. Will the Challenger be a good competitor? Or just say for the Master Pro. Oh my gosh, this thing keeps losing connection. What is going on? All right. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Not it. I don't care. Go ahead, guys. Pull away. What do you guys think? Oh, oops. Click here. I have to go back to settings again. This headphone is very old. I think I'll have to give it up. Get a new one. Keeps disconnecting on me. I don't even need it anyway. I'm not listening to any videos. Okay, so wow, look at that. That's close. That's very close. Whoa. I wanted to post this poll because I didn't want it to be based on my assumption. I wanted someone else to answer this. I wanted the community to answer this so that we get okay, guys. Keep polling. Keep polling. Are you serious? How? So I guess you're right, Mr. Bunny Slippers. People really think so. I don't think so, but I'm not everyone. Wow, that's interesting. What's going on? What is this? What is this? How are you guys coming up with this? How are you coming up with this? How why? How is the V13 going to be even a challenger, a competitor to the Master Pro? In what areas? In what areas? Okay, I'm going to end this poll. Okay, so apparently you guys think that this is going to be a good challenger to the Master Pro. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Why will the challenger be a good competitor to the Master Pro? I'm going to say speed, quality, reliability, because I don't see why else you guys are saying this. Range. You know what? Speed, quality, reliability, and speed can be the same. So let's just say safety. Okay, let's say quality and reliability. Reliability, safety, and range. All right, let's see why you guys are saying this. I don't understand that. How is this possible? Why is the challenge? Why will the challenger be a good competitor? Why will the challenger be a good competitor to the Master Pro? Why? Because you guys agreed. You guys literally agreed by a huge margin that the V13 is definitely going to be a good challenger to the Master Pro. And I'm like, how? I don't see that. Because my mind is always thinking on performance. I'm always thinking speed. No matter what, it's always speed. Okay. Wow. I'm surprised you guys didn't say safety. But I guess quality and reliability can make up for safety. Wow, look at that. I love this. This is crazy. All right. And this is yes. And yes, Bunny Slippers, yes. You brought up a good point, Bunny Slippers. People agree with you. The reason clearly is because people trust Inmotion. That's what I'm seeing here. People trust Inmotion. People trust Inmotion. Holy smokes. This is my last poll for now. Okay, so I'm going to end this poll. Oh, people are still polling. Wow, that's amazing. You destroyed it. You guys destroyed it. The Master Pro. Wow. Wow. So I'm going to end this poll. And I'm going to ask the last poll, and then we're going to get into your, because it's already an hour and 25 minutes. We're going to get into your comments on the last video. So this is the last question. This is a serious question now, guys. I want you to just relax, take it easy. Don't use this opportunity to release all of your frustrations on the goat. This is a simple question, okay? Simple question. Do you trust the goat? Oh, why do I keep hitting add option, man? Yes, no. What else should I say? Yes, no. If they improve on quality. Okay, that's the last poll for now. So go ahead, poll away. You guys said quality and reliability, and I'm like, wow, it's because people trust Inmotion. So let's see. Do you trust Begode? Okay, keep polling, guys. Keep polling. Do you trust Begode? Interesting. Wow. Wow. But I know this thing is probably going to change like in a second. I'm surprised. I figured there would be a lot more no's. Interesting. Okay. Do you trust Begode? Okay, if you haven't polled yet, please poll. If you haven't polled yet, please poll. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. Holy smokes. 39%. Wow. 39%. Come on. Keep polling. Interesting. Wow. 36%. It's literally hovering between yes and no. And it's actually almost even if they improve on quality. Holy smokes. This is beautiful. Wow. Can I poll? Can I skew it up a little? Wow. Interesting. Wow. This is great. This is, 38. All right. All right. This is what I expected. This is what I expected. I guess people are just coming in. People are just coming in here. Okay. Okay. It's not a blowout. Just when I said that, just when I said it's not a blowout, looks like it's going to be a blowout. Okay. Yeah, I'm giving you guys time because I don't want to be biased here. Okay. This is about you. This is about you guys. You know, let's see. Wow. Holy smokes. Where's the, oh gosh, Begode, where you going? Where you going? You're going into oblivion. Begode is going into oblivion here. Interesting. So the consensus, it's really changed over a few minutes. Over a few minutes. Wow. So people don't trust Begode. Yep, that's what it is. And if they improve on quality, doesn't seem slowly seems to be coming up. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys like 10 seconds more to answer the poll. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. All right. So the consensus is in. You do not trust Begode. And the next poll, the next rating is if they improve on quality. So if Begode improves on quality, I could see that yes or that no going down a lot more. So, but hey, again, we know on history that what you guys consider quality, Begode might not even be interested in that because people like me are still going to buy Begode. Interesting. Wow, this was telling. Bunny Slippers, you had a good point there, man. You had a good point. Good for you. All right, so let me see. Supermotive says, yeah, but the magic would have been 60. Yep, correct. Let me just go. Bunny Slippers, all the safety features don't mean anything if the components aren't on the right specifications and quality. That is correct. That is correct. Devo, EVs did a spec review on the Sherman S. More torque and more top speed under 90 pounds. Under 90 pounds? Who's 90 pounds? That's really... Oh, you mean the weight of the wheel. Sensei Vegan, Inmotion sold people with smoke and mirrors when it came to the lift speed of the Challenger. 100% smoke and mirrors, man. Holy smokes. And they disappeared in all that smoke. Road, yep, they got us good with the... Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That was the definition of a teaser video. Devo, Inmotion always over-engineer their wheels, just like BMW. And yet people love BMW. Mobile is motherboard. Oh, okay. Mobile is motherboard. Got it. Thank you. Crimp, I would not pay 4K for the V13, but I would gladly pay 4.6K for the Master Pro. Absolutely. And that's what I like Begode for, man. They give you a ton for what you paid for. I'm 100% set on the Master Pro. I'm looking to put a down payment as well, but I'm not a first batch buyer. Sensei Vegan, the form factor of the original Sherman was amazing. Yes, and they should not change that. Although the new Sherman that's coming out with the suspension, I could understand. I could understand why they made that change, because you have to incorporate the, up and down, right? So how are you going to do that with that old design? The new design with the suspension looks like it took from the old design. So that's not too much of a departure. Metatones Cube. They need a wheel with quick tire change and swappable battery. That is number one. Master has definitely done a good job with that. Road Trip Metron, that would be a good game changer. All right, guys. So I'm going to move on to the comments. Okay. All right. So let's go to the comments of the video in question. So this video was about basically the truth about the Inmotion V13 Challenger. They had no choice. So that was my consensus. My consensus was that Inmotion had no choice but to release this wheel. And if they wanted to stay relevant, they had to release it. Unfortunately for them, in my opinion, they wanted to incorporate everything. Okay, so they want to incorporate speed, they want to incorporate range, they want to incorporate safety, they want to incorporate all suspension. It's amazing they don't have a seat. They will have a seat, but you have to pay $65 for it. It's very interesting. Strange Inmotion, very strange. But anyway, the point is they want to incorporate everything, because maybe they don't see themselves releasing a wheel anytime soon, another wheel anytime soon. So that's why I said they really had no choice but to release this wheel. At 3,024 watt hours, they had no choice, because they don't know how to manage battery at high performance. That's just my guess. If you had given that massive size of wheel to like Gotway, that would have been like a 48. Oh, they do. Master Pro. See, that's my point. So, okay, so the first comment. So this first comment here is very long. I'm not going to read it. I'm actually going to dedicate another video to it. So I'm not going to read this one. But you can read it yourself. He makes a very good point here for Inmotion. But Martin, oh, you guys can't see this. It's very small. Can you see this now? All right, cool. So Martin Mika says, I don't know, man. I would rather get higher battery safety than more performance. Just my opinion. And did I reply to him? Nope. Someone else said, high performance EUC's riding is not for everyone. Get a V8 or V6 and you'll be absolutely fine. Agreed. I mean, look, when I started this video in the beginning, I said it's my opinion. And if you look, my opinion is based on performance. I'm all about performance. I'm all about performance or go home. I'm not interested. I'm not learning anymore. And when I'm meaning learning how to ride. And if I was learning how to ride, I would probably think like you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I would rather battery safety first. Battery safety, in my opinion, has to do with how you store the wheel, how you ride the wheel, in what conditions do you ride the wheel? Is it exposed to water? At this point, how they make batteries are automated. You know what I mean? There's not much difference. It's just a matter of how the wheel is treated. And most riders don't treat their wheels well, which leads to what you see in fires and stuff like that. Not a lot of people mention how they handle their wheels. They only show the video. Supercat says, great video. The V13 will have a new Raptor control board and a very different control board design than the V12. Actually, the electronics are all completely different, with the exception of the display. It's not passed over to V13. So none of the control board issues like cutout can be. See, you can't say that. So what he's referring to is the fact that, I said it's possible that the V12's problems of cutouts could transfer over to the V13. Well, he's saying that, listen, it's completely different electronics. Everything's different. The board design's different. Everything's different. It can't possibly move over to the V13. Why would you put yourself in a box like that? Why would you say that it's not possible? You know what I'm saying? Did he say it's not possible? He said, So he didn't even say not possible. He made a statement. He said, so none of the control board issues like cutout can be. Holy smokes. Dude, you have a lot of trust. No, you don't know that. You cannot say that because unlike Kingsong at least tried to find out what the problem was and, demonstrate to us that, listen, but what they've done is what you're saying, if I were to go by your comment here, they've completely thrown out the old design and start something brand new. But that still leaves us with the problem. That brand new design is not tested. It would be better to figure out what happened with the old design, fix that, and move forward. Even if you just took parts and pieces from the old design, like when I say parts and pieces, I mean like design philosophies, you know what I mean? And then move on rather than just completely design something from scratch. You're just introducing new issues that has never been tested at that level of wheel. So there's a massive chance that this problem, not only could it propagate to the V13, but the V13 could have brand new issues that we've never experienced before, putting us in the same boat as the V12. So I don't agree with that. Lufo Gear says, I agree with you. Gotway Bigode have always known how to make organic wheels, an extension of the body. My MSX 2021 is the perfect wheel for me, no faults. I'm learning to discover my EXN after optimizing the cooling, the right power pads. It seems formidable. I think you don't. After optimizing the cooling, oh, I see. Because actually it made a difference. I removed the board and it actually made a difference. I rode like freaking 12 miles the other day and I did not get an overheat and I rode hard. I think I got an overheat warning at like 15, 16 miles, just to be sure. But the temperature was not 70s. It was like, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was like 67 or something like that. I remember when I got the overheat, it was like upwards of 80. So I still need to optimize my fan and my cooling. Gary Lashley says, if you ever get a chance to work on the V12, do it. I have a V12 and I perform my own board sweat. I have an early version of the EXN also. The build quality between the two wheels is stark. Totally agree. It's a shame. The EXN is shit compared to the V12 in terms of build quality. The EXN is strong and correct. Yes. They all have their, so it's, I always liken this to the sports cars. So for example, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Maserati, all these companies, people still buy them. Lamborghinis look great. The build quality seems to look great, everything, Ferrari. But guys, these wheels, these cars always have issues with fires, because while they look great on the outside, it requires a ton of maintenance almost every day you drive this thing. Even when you don't drive it, you need maintenance because of just how they're built. Performance things require better quality components. I think with the Bigode wheels, they focus less on the quality build in terms of the shell and stuff like that. They focus more on battery management and the components. That's what I feel like. This is why I think they're successful, is because of the components. Because how is it that you're able to push a Bigode wheel the way you do and abuse it the way you do and get all the performance you can out of that machine and no other company can come close? Is because I feel they prioritize what needs to be good component versus what can pass for basic component, for what's that word? For mediocre component. So you don't skimp out on the capacitor. You don't skimp out on the MOSFETs. You don't skimp out on the gauge wires. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. You don't skimp out on the motor. You don't skimp out. So there's certain, but the plastic shell, okay, whatever. It's like the light, the handle, lift switch, all these features people can do it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I feel Gotway does not care. I don't think that Gotway does not care. I think they prioritize what is essential for maintaining a high level of performance so that no one else can catch up. And then everything else, they're just like, yeah. That's what I think. Look, people were complaining about the shell with Bigode for a very long time. What did they do in the end? Just got rid of the shell. What are you going to complain about now? Well, there's a lot we could still complain about the Goat. For example, Wrong Way, shout out to him, brought out the fact that the plastic covering for the battery is very cheap. I mean, come on, that should not be cheap. That should be the most strongest piece on the wheel because battery protection. But that's my assessment. The Sly Giraffe. Okay, the Sly Giraffe EV. I was expecting Inmotion. How much more do you have, buddy? Okay. I was expecting Inmotion's play was to make something like V11 Pro. Take the V11, but make it 100 volt to get into those higher speeds and slap one more battery, say 2700 watt hours. Weight would increase, but you get the extra power and large battery and a great offering in the tier or class of wheels. I took one look at the V13's 3024 watt hour battery and said, nope, that's how I felt. Already got a larger battery suspension wheel, and it's not even as heavy. I don't know what they were thinking going with that price and at that weight and not even having at least 3600 watt hours. We'll see how it goes. I'm skeptical on the popularity of 100-pound wheels. That market is pretty niche as it is. Yes, it is a niche market. No one's expecting millions or thousands of these to go off the shelf. But my question is, what are you competing with, man? The polls, going back to the polls I shared with you guys, demonstrates that, people want big wheels. Well, for those that want big wheels, they want one that they can trust. And people are trusting Inmotion on that to deliver. So that's my guess. People just don't want to have to settle with the Goat. That's the problem. They want a company that they can trust, even though it's a niche market. They want to trust that particular wheel. They don't. Right now, the Goat is the only option for long range wheels, like insanely big, comfortable long range wheels. Real Talk says, "Wow, the pedigree of the Goat has never received such glowing remarks than this." Oh man, what does SO mean? I'm not sure. So to the truths. Okay, let me see what Google can say. I'm not up to par with a lot of lingos here, guys. SO meaning shout out. Okay. Shout out to the Truth Slayer. That's me. This was a thought-provoking soliloquy of why we all gravitated to the Goat religiously. That's right. In fact, this is the reason why we all gravitated to EUCs, which is for the thrill, no other. That is correct. That is the whole reason when I first started EUCs, it was out of curiosity of seeing a video of a guy riding a V5 in the woods. Okay, so I was first introduced to it like that, and I was interested. But then after I realized, holy smokes, I started watching Chooch. I started watching Tashawn. I started watching all these other guys, and they all had big Goats. Every single one of them had big Goats. And dude, it was the thrill. It was the thrill of doing crazy speeds, being comfortable, crazy range, being able to go where you want and not worrying about parking. The Goat, man. The Goat took the cake on that for me. Bunny Slippers says, a friend's V12 has had lots of problems going hardcore off-road compared to the MSP high speed and my X Max HT. Inmotion build in the software, lots of warnings and error messages because they cheap out on electronic. Hey, Bunny Slippers, that's you. Didn't you just say that earlier? Oh, man. Yes, that's right. So they cheap out on the electronics while the Goat will keep on going. That is correct. And that goes back to my point where I said the Goat does not skimp out. The Goat does not care. It seems like the Goat does not care, but it's not. No, they focus on what's important to maintain their leverage on speed. Components wise, the outer shell, the outer looking, that comes last to them. Whereas Inmotion, kingsong, that seems to matter a lot to them. And if only that matches their performance, then everyone will be like, cool. But when you have issues like, errors and problems of cutouts randomly, it doesn't build confidence. You know what I mean? It does not build confidence. Doug says, hey, normally you talk sense. I can see where this is going. Normally you talk sense, but not today, buddy. Not today. The Goat only has performance at our expense. Low quality builds, no safety features until forced to, no taking responsibility and pushing motors to their extreme is opposite of quality. They are followers rather than leaders. Taking a, not sure. Okay, it stops right there. But yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right with part of it. So what part do I agree with? Low quality builds. I'm not sure what he means by that. He could mean the shell. He, again, when people talk about builds with Begode, they usually refer to the shells. They refer to like stuff like that. I'm not thinking about the shell. I'm thinking about more deep stuff, like in okay, I don't agree with how Begode builds the boards. Okay, the way they put the boards where everything seems to be everywhere, I don't like that. But it works. It works fantastic, man. I love how it works. Low quality builds, no safety features. That's not true. You can't say there are no safety features. There are safety features. In fact, Begode has the 30 mile per hour tilt back that you can employ. Begode has beeps that you can employ. Also, you don't, if the wheel says 35 miles an hour and you go above 35 miles an hour, that's an issue at low battery, especially. So there are safety features, not as well implemented as Kingsong and Inmotion. I agree with you on that, but they do have safety features. So you can't say there's no safety features until forced to. No taking responsibility for what? They changed their name, man. You know, that's sort of taking responsibility, I think. And pushing motors to the extreme is the opposite of quality. Not true. Not true at all. Not true at all. Why do you have F1 racing? F1 racing, these guys, that industry exists to push motors to their limits. And the reason they push it to their limits is so that they can know what level they need to go next. You know, you don't want to come out with a motor and then push it to its near limit. How are you going to progress? You're not going to progress. You need to know its full limit to the point where you literally destroy it and then build according to that. That's Begode, man. And that has always been Begode. This is why they're still king. And they will always be king if these other companies don't take performance seriously. They are followers rather than leaders. Okay, in some areas they are followers. Performance, no. They are the number one on performance, always has been. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for, tell me another company, okay, 5 years ago, tell me another company 5 years ago, Doug, where Begode was forced to follow where performance, speed, range is concerned. There's none. Ninebot went out of business, or maybe they didn't go out of business. They just showed no interest in EUCs anymore. Kingsong and Inmotion took forever to come to the realm of performance. So no, you can't say that. I mean, you can say that, but it's not valid. They're not followers. You should be specific, in my opinion, where they were followers, in what areas were they followers. I agree with you that, you know, until another company really shows some pressure, then they get up their butt and start doing stuff. I agree with you on that, 100%. With, for example, the KS20, who came up with the suspension? That was Kingsong, and then Inmotion copied them. Agreed, 100%. Who came up with the exoskeleton design? That was Kingsong, and Gotway copied. I agree. But there was a famous person that you all love and agree with, that's Steve Jobs. I don't know if that's his saying, but he did say, you know, why? I mean, if copying works, you got to copy it. That's not what he said. I totally butchered that. But he said, artists, oh man, what did he say? Does anybody remember? Great artists, good artists. Oh, he said, good artists copy, great artists steal. That's what he said. Either way, they're both copying or taking something from someone else. So why would Begode have to design something completely new if they don't have to, if someone else has it and it's working? So I wish that Begode would innovate in certain areas, but I don't see them doing that anytime soon because they've already innovated in performance, and that's all they care about. Two Slice says the V13 will be the safest and best quality built wheel to come. The Sherman will be second place. The majority of EUC riders do not do 45 to 15 minute 45 miles per hour for 15 minutes straight. I doubt the majority even do 40 miles per hour for 10 minutes straight. I'm putting my money on Inmotion. I have a high speed V12 and never had a cutout. Dude, when talking about V12 cutting out, you have to pay attention to the region in the world where they have the majority of cutouts, plus the batch of shipments. V12 cutouts will not stop the V13 from selling out when it drops. That wheel is going to have lots of people waiting on the back orders. I can guarantee it. Bro, right now, that's the most anticipated wheel, just like the KS20 was. And that's my whole point. People aren't thinking. They're emotional right now. I can guarantee that. Anticipated wheel. Inmotion, Gotway, Begode, and Kingsong came into the game at the same time. Inmotion was just more focused on safety of their wheels and keeping them at lower speed. That's the only difference between Inmotion, Kingsong, and Gotway, Begode. Gotway had to go change their name to Begode because of the damage they've done to the community. Well, listen, they didn't do any damage to the community. People, just because someone is having a bad experience with wheels, because they themselves would not take responsibility for how the wheels were treated, doesn't mean that Gotway should ignore it. They had to respond. You know, you're not going to fight like thousands of people who are complaining about stuff that they themselves don't want to take responsibility for. It is what it is. So they had to change their name, and they did. That's how I see it. This one has no name. That's interesting. Okay, so no name. I wouldn't put a whole lot into the battery watt hours for the V13. I have the V11, and according to its spec 1500 watt hours, it shouldn't do what it does with a 250-pound rider. I consistently get 30-plus mile range. I think they have an edge on battery management. Don't know what it is that they're doing, but it's... I don't know why I'm not seeing the rest of this stuff. It just stops at weird. What? If I make it smaller, will I see it? But it's something. Okay. It's interesting. I don't see it. Wow. Well, that's good. My response to him was, interesting. How hard do you ride? Are you more of a cruiser, or do you torque hard, accelerate hard, brake hard? Ride several city blocks. I ride several city blocks. What? Ride several city blocks at near top speed, because that would explain a lot, maybe. He said all of the above. I would say above average normal riding. My acceleration is progressive. I don't accelerate as aggressively as you do very often. I'm in Tennessee. Some small towns riding. I ride back roads, subdivisions, what? To subdivisions, park to park. Okay. But the point is, he's not that much of a hard rider. The fuss. How much did you ride the fuss? I'm not going to read everything. I will read the first paragraph. The fuss. Bro, think about it. It's not just the battery. 30 pounds heavier for a 22-inch wheel with twice the size of motor. Better, stronger build, 300-plus watt hours, 124 volts or whatever. Suspension, added safety for speed, and probably torque, screen, tech, all for $1,500 more money. That is a lot of added specs for only negative of not being able to carry upstairs, when that's probably not an issue for most people who have a brain and can think around the issue. Doesn't sound like the issue at all for Inmotion. I know they will sell a lot of these wheels. I don't think the issue is the fact that it's heavy. I mean, I mentioned that, but I don't think that's the only reason. I think the fact that it has a 3,024 watt hour battery for a massive motor is a problem. That's what I think. Thanks for your comment. EUC Rider says, I own both S22 and EXN. High speed, I prefer to ride my EXN. It's just a better performance wheel, but the S22 has way more power, way more torque, but they are very similar off the line. But once moving over 10 kilometers per hour, the S22 leaves the EXN behind. Fast, but the EXN catches up and passes at top speed. Really? That's interesting. I would like to see that in real life. MEUC on my EUC. MEUC on my EUC. You said the quiet part of, I think you meant to say out loud. You said the quiet part out loud. Both Inmotion and Kingsong are known for quality and safety, but go for performance. I like that Inmotion and Kingsong are bringing are bridging the gap toward performance because it's making the goat close the gap on their quality and safety. And you're right. You're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. Competition makes for better wheels. That is correct. That is correct. So the thing about the goat is they don't tend to do anything without the pressure from other companies. You're right. You're absolutely right on that. If it wasn't for the pressure of other companies, there's no way the goat would be doing what they're doing right now. So competition is a good thing. John E. Fly, I want to see a 70. Oh, he's saying my specs were wrong. I want to see a 78-inch tall version of the V13. How does someone ride a wheel that's 6 feet 6 inches tall? Just playing around, but I believe Inmotion lists the V13 as 29-inch tall, and they say a maximum height of the rider. Where did his comment go? Huh. Of the rider is 6 feet 6 inches, though I'm not sure why that matters. It matters, man. For maneuverability, for portability, for acceleration, braking, all that stuff matters. Okay, form factor matters a lot where performance is concerned. Let's see. Okay, so this person says, E-Neon says 20 minutes and 52 seconds. I don't know. Watching you ride across the lanes in front of highway traffic makes me think the 22-inch wheel would be, oh, I completely misunderstood what he said the first time. Makes me think a 22-inch wheel would be safer option regardless of the V13 being a fraction less torque. I mean, if a smaller twitchy wheel tracks you off balance and you ass go down, you're going to cause, I keep having to do this because I can't see it. Sorry about that, guys. You're going to cause another long delay traffic jam until, I don't know, man. I sometimes wonder, how long have you guys been riding? Because some of you guys are saying stuff that I don't agree with. Like, for example, a lot of people say if you ride at 40 miles an hour and you hit a little bump, something's going to happen. Guys, that does not happen. Like, I've ridden at 48 miles an hour and gone through crazy bumps and nothing happens because it's all a matter of how you ride through that bump. If you're torquing your wheel in the bump at 38 miles an hour, 48 miles an hour, or near the peak of the wheel, you're going to possibly cause a cutout, yes. But if you're just gradually, you're torquing, but not torquing hard, you're gradually feeling out your wheel, the limits of your wheel, and you go through that bump at a high rate of speed, even if it's near the top speed, you can manage that. So I'm very curious to see how you guys are riding, because unless I see a video of this happening, I don't believe it. Show me a video of this happening where, I just don't understand. I don't understand. We've had 18-inch wheels, 16-inch wheels for a very long time with high speeds of 35 to 40 miles an hour. And I don't hear at least performance riders complaining about the wheel being insufficient or having insufficient power to handle bumps at high speeds. I don't hear that. And I've never experienced it. Never. I've had guys cut out on beautiful flat stretch roads because they torqued it too hard at low battery. That's common. That makes sense. But if you have a wheel that has enough battery, a good motor, great pads, and you're over torquing, you can expect that to happen. You know what I mean? Gillum the Great. I mean, I live in Boston. All the roads here are not that great, and I'm blazing through these bad roads, but you don't see me overleaning it. I gradually go through these bumps at high rate of speeds. Nothing happens. Gilliam the Great. I don't know what I have as many strong opinions toward any particular. Oh gosh, that's not what he said. I don't know that I have as many strong opinions toward any particular brand over another. I just view them as having general trends that may or may not apply to specific use cases. I wish there were more riders near me so I could try more wheels. You mentioned that the S22 shouldn't be torqued before it jumped, right? I can confirm this. I hit a big jump trying to do a hard acceleration and I almost went down. I lucked out and I lucked out. Had I been on an incline or had the jump been bigger, I suspect I would have crashed. Thank you. So there you go. This is what Mike Leahy was saying. He was saying, don't torque the wheel into a jump. Just go with it. Because the S22 is not meant for torque, man. But you don't see him saying the same thing with MSPs or RS because they're two different wheels. One has crazy performance and the other is just not meant for performance. It's meant for jumps, yes, but the level of execution from each company is just vastly, it's just worlds apart. Wheelman says, agree 100%, have no trust for the V13 that appears out of thin air after the V12 fiasco and without the relevant explanations that I believe were necessary for maintaining the trust of their clients. Not going to be a crash test dummy for this wheel and promised performance. Totally agree. And I think I agree. Very true. I hope it all works out still. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with him 100%. This wheel came out of nowhere with all these crazy specs. I'm like, holy smokes. What happened to the V12? Why didn't we get a true solid answer on the V12? You know what I mean? That's like Abrams. That's like leaperkim coming out with another Abrams or a more powerful Abrams, but it's designed like the Abrams. And then saying, hey, forget about the Abrams. We got a new board now. It's called, whatever. No, just, you gotta, you either have to kill it or just say, listen, we're going to start from scratch. We acknowledge our issues and, move on from there. But to release a completely different wheel in a completely different class with that type of spec, holy smokes, man. But anyway, we shall see soon. The only issue, Patrick McCohen says, the only issue I have with the V13 price, I enjoyed my MSP. Sorry, I sold it. Oh man, you sold your MSP. That's okay. Would I get a new Begode? Would have to see some solid testing reviews. And I wouldn't be surprised if he sold it because of reviewers like, Duff or Wrong Way saying, hey, fires. But not really taking into consideration the riders themselves. Like that's disingenuous. Rocket Snail, I don't agree with you. And look, and here's what's funny. Kingsong came out with a smart BMS for their KS20 and it's still caught on fire. So it was only one incident, which is me. But hey, I don't think many people are really riding this wheel the way I ride it. And I don't think they should. I think the wheel is not meant for performance. And the fact they're not pushing it how I did is fine because it's less likely that, it'll blow up. Rock Snail, I don't agree with you like many others on this one, but what I would really like to see is you riding the new wheels because you're a very good EUC rider and your opinion will help many. Listen, when I ride the wheels, I ride them as if they're for me. Okay, I don't ride them thinking, oh, I'm gonna make this person upset or I'm gonna make this person unhappy with me. I don't care. I ride the wheel as if I'm gonna ride it for me. And unfortunately, I'm a reviewer, so I'm gonna post my results. It is what it is. Whether you like it or not, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, if the wheel ends up bad, I mean, whose fault is that? I'm not to blame. I'm not to blame. Like you blame the manufacturer. Why are you blaming me? That's hilarious. But yeah, I will continue to ride as long as these wheels are in existence. And maybe it might take me a year. Maybe it might take me 2 years because I know no one's going to send me any wheels. And would I purchase a wheel to destroy it? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Maduga. You're right. Inmotion didn't have a choice unless they wanted to go to own speed and leave Inmotion with safety. That's correct. And they would have been fine, honestly. Inmotion would have been fine just staying in their safe zone. Nothing wrong with that. No one was competing. Not even Begode. Begode wasn't even competing with Inmotion on safety. So why not own that market? Just own that, man. Now you're going to possibly tarnish your reputation as one of the safest EUC manufacturers out there. I mean, you already did that with the V12. I imagine people who purchase the V12 right now, they're not going to go crazy nuts over it. They're going to ride it how it's supposed to be ridden. Nice, slow, you know what I mean? Respectful. You know, they're not going to go nuts. They're going to take their time with that wheel. That's what I'm thinking. Just a few more comments, guys. It's 2 hours, and then we'll call it a day. Ottawa EUC, U-Stride, you have to understand the V13 have the same amount of cells as the 3200 watt-hour Sherman version 1, 2, and 3. At 126 volts, hope to see 200-pound rider in America soon to test the hell out of this V13. I would absolutely love to see some real tests. I would love to see some real tests. The tests I've seen so far on Facebook are not tests. That's just riding normally. At 4 minutes and 58 seconds, come on. That sound from the motor is a deal breaker for me. I don't feel safe riding a wheel if I hear that. Is that your particular wheel to sound like that? Yes. That was let me see what he's referring to. He's referring to this part right here. Can you guys hear this? One in the chat if you can hear this. Oh, you probably can't hear it, right? Can you guys hear this? You heard it, right? Let me see if I can hear it. Let's see. Oh, I don't have the live going. But anyway, he was referring to this part right here where I was stopping the wheel where, you know, this is, oh, no sound. Okay. All right, you can't hear it. But anyway, the point is, this is what he was referring to. There's a certain test I do for the wheels where you basically ride and then you guys have seen this before, where you pretty much, you know, press on the back part of the pads to get the wheel to stop and you get the motor to slip. If the motor slips, that means the motor is weak. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean it's insignificant, it's insufficient. It just means that you've passed the limit at which this motor is able to hold you up. You know what I mean? But this is a high-speed wheel. Most high-speed wheels do that because they're not torque wheels. My torque MSP does not do that because it's so crazy powerful. Most average riders will not experience that. You know, you will not experience that sound. So I was just trying to demonstrate that to him. But this also exposes that, you know, most riders don't really know the limits of their wheels, which is why they're surprised when certain things happen. I recommend highly that you find out the limit of your wheel in a very secluded area. Don't kill it. Just, you know, test it out, see what the braking limitations are, the acceleration, all that stuff, because, you know, that's going to make you a better rider and more aware of your wheel. But anyway, this is it, guys. I just want to thank you guys. Let me read some of your comments in here and see what you guys are saying. Not all of them. Okay, so Joshem says the lowest pedal height is more stable. That is kind of true. It's kind of true, but I don't like low pedals because it keeps scraping. Yes, I believe the trust issue may help the sales adoption of the new era, and I'm hoping that the T4 is the new wave of the lower weight and high performance. Bunny Slippers, Joshem knows the story and other persons. Joshem, yes, something about Speedweb. Okay, let me read through this first before I put it on the screen. They push these companies to stay competitive. Yes, that is true. That is very true. If it wasn't for Bigot, the KS22 V12 V13 wouldn't exist. 100% correct. And I think that's what people are missing. They're not getting it. Like, it's good to be critical, but guys, you have to understand the reason these awesome wheels exist today is because of Bigot. Bigot is the only one that's been pushing high limits. And I know you guys say it's not about speed, but you're still buying the V12. You're still buying this V13 because of speed. And why does this speed exist? Because someone went ahead of them to prove that, listen, wheels can go that fast. So, and you can do it safely. So, creativity is great, but play. That's awesome. I like this. E. Simon says, creativity is great, but plagiarism is faster. Oh, man. Keith, are we going to see you at the Amp Electric Games? I, uh, I contemplated on getting there in certain ways, but no, I can't do it. Family and work, but mostly family. Can't do it. Maybe one day. Hey, I see me on the screen, but I just got here. That's okay. All right. So, guys, I'm ending the live. Thank you for participating in the polling section. That was awesome. It just gives another dimension into how you guys are thinking about these companies. It's obvious that many of you do not trust Begode, and for good reason. I understand. But if you're going to purchase a Begode machine, understand this: Begode is not holding your hand. Okay, Begode is not telling you don't run the red light. Begode is not telling you don't crash your wheel. They're giving you all these options. You're a big boy. You're not a baby. You're a big boy. Go out there, purchase the wheel, read the spec sheet, know what the limits are, how to store the wheel in the proper temperature, etc., etc. Should you ride its IPX rating? If it's rated, should I ride it in the rain? All that stuff. All of that stuff is important. You don't just purchase a wheel and then just go ride it. You purchase the wheel, learn about the wheel, watch a bunch of reviews of the wheel, learn the specs, learn the limit, and then you ride the wheel. But a lot of people, I feel, expect Begode to just be like Inmotion and Kingsong. And Begode is not like Inmotion and Kingsong. These companies care about your safety to the nth degree. Begode, I wouldn't say they don't care, but they treat you like an adult. And aren't you adults? So be responsible with how you ride a Begode machine. Because when you enter that realm, you have that chance of cutting out. You have that chance of blowing up your wheel if you don't take care of it properly. You have a chance of really hurting yourself out there. So don't treat Begode like Kingsong and Inmotion. It's not Kingsong and it's not Inmotion. It's a high level wheel that requires your utmost attention, okay, and care. So until next time, happy riding. Peace, guys.